Hey beautiful souls, welcome back to another reading here on the channel. So this reading is all going to be about messages from your shadow self, things that maybe you still need to heal from, just to give you the awareness into what your unconscious already knows. Okay, so a couple of disclaimers before we get started. As usual, if there's something in this reading that doesn't resonate with you, it could be that that message wasn't meant for you, so please use your intuition and take what resonates. Also, if you are called to multiple piles, it's okay to look into multiple piles. Your intuition will guide you. And please understand that tarot should not control your life. Tarot is just to give you insight into what you already know. So these messages from your shadow self are things that you already know. Your consciousness just hasn't been brought to the light. Okay, so I'm here to help bring that unawareness to the awareness so that you're able to work through. So another little bit of disclaimer and just a little bit of background on a little bit more about your shadow self. So your shadow self is the mirror of yourself. The best way that I like to think about this is if you've seen Peter Pan, his shadow. That is really what your shadow self is, because it is the reflection of your conscience. And your shadow self is just a part of you that you don't see. And that's why it's the shadow, right? It's a part of your patterns, your behaviors, your trauma, whatever it is, it's things that you don't see. And your shadow self is not meant to be a harmful thing. It's not a dark energy. Want to make sure that's really clear. So your shadow self contains a lot of different parts of your personality. So as you hear people talk about ego and you hear people talk about kind of that shadow part of yourself, they really are all part of the same part of your unconscious brain. So if you want to think about like Sigmund Freud, the way that he explains the way that your brain really works in your personality is you have your id, your super ego, your conscience, right? Like your ego. And so the thing is your super ego is your higher self, and your id is that little devil on your shoulder who's responsible for making you feel good. So all of these things are part of an interconnected system, which I'll do a whole different video on, because it really does help give you awareness into having harmony with these different parts of your brain. But the shadow self really contains a lot of the unconscious patterns and mindsets that you don't realize you possess. So it can, and a lot of them are really come from childhood. They're defense mechanisms, things that our ego, our shadow self has created to protect us, right? To make our life better. So yeah, I wanted to make that clear that your shadow self is not a negative part of you, okay? It is not negative energy. It's not bad energy. It's a part of your wholeness that make you who you are, but we can still bring awareness to it and understand it better so that we can say, thank you. I no longer want to hold on to this mindset or this coping mechanism. So that's really what this reading will show you, is messages and insights from your shadow self. The more that you bring the awareness to your shadow self, the more that you can work alongside it to change your behaviors, and you understand more of your brain. It's pretty fascinating and completely possible. So this will hopefully give you some of those insights into things that you're like, oh my gosh, I wasn't aware of that, and I don't like that. And so that's why I want to put out that disclaimer that there may be things here that you don't like. And I'm the messenger. This is really your shadow self telling you these things. And please keep in mind that we all have things that we have to deal with. So don't feel like working with your shadow self is that you're not perfect the way that you are. Again, it's about building the wholeness and interconnectedness with yourself. Because generally when we get reincarnated, we are not connected to these parts of our conscious. And that's a big part of ascending, right? Is that your soul becomes kind of the main leader of you. Where in the past, your ego self and your shadow self is more the one that takes over because they're more dominant in this world, right? But as your soul starts to ascend, you start to understand your shadow self. So that's what shadow self is in a little bit of the quick and condensed version, but this will really give you that insight and help you work on those things that will make you happier, right? And will allow you to move forward without pain or regret. So I have some love incense. Will help bring in that higher frequency. This is a little bit of a heavier reading, so just want to make sure that I'm bringing in some love to kind of help with that healing as we're getting this awareness, okay? So I am gonna pull the energy live like I did in my last video. So this is just kind of a placeholder with the crystals. So I'm gonna pull from the Angel Wisdom Tarot again, as well as some oracle cards. So let's just jump straight into the deck selection. So we have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. So as usual, I'm gonna go ahead and give you 30 seconds to meditate with those crystals, and then we'll jump straight into the reading, okay? All right, I hope that gave you guys a moment to meditate with those crystals. I'm gonna jump straight into group number 1. All right, group number 1, welcome to your reading. You chose this black kyanite, so this is definitely a powerful crystal, helps with negative energy. So to also just kind of help with this reading, I'm gonna go ahead and light some love incense. So just kind of bring in that intention of connecting to your heart center, your higher self, kind of just giving yourself a moment to really connect to the energy so that you can get the reading really, really strong and really dig into that unconscious, okay? So go ahead and set the intention. We're gonna bring in the highest frequency of love so that this will give you the insight that you need in the most loving way possible. Perfect. And then I'm gonna go ahead and just set that right here by your crystal. We're not gonna waste any time, and I love incense. All right, so I'm gonna start with the Angel Wisdom Tarot. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a cat right here. This is my cat, Posie. I'm sure you've seen my cats. My cat Paisley is the one who you probably always hear jingling all the time. She's crazy. Posie's kind of more my mellow cat, so she's completely black, so she probably blends in, but she loves laying on my sweaters. So how can I say no to that little angel baby? All right. Just make sure I get kind of feeling the energy. What does group 1 shadow self want them to know? Group 1 shadow self want them to know. All right. Bottom of the deck energy, we have Knight of Pentacles. Okay. All right, so the first card we have is the King of Wands in reverse. The Seven of Wands. The Four of Pentacles in reverse. And the King of Pentacles in reverse. Lots of pentacles. So give me just a second to kind of take in the energy and just get the overall message here. Okay, so what I'm feeling and really seeing from your shadow self is there's a lot of grounding that needs to be done, especially with the pentacles. That's really what I'm feeling, is you need to make sure that you're grounding yourself more, because maybe, you know, stability is something that is really important to you, and that's something maybe you haven't had in your life, and maybe you've worked hard to gain stability, or you're still working on those foundations, you know, with these different pentacle cards. But I'm not feeling like that, because these pentacle cards are kind of the higher ones, right? Like with the Four of Pentacles, she's very well off. King of Pentacles, same. So I feel like you've already really worked through some of these things, and so your shadow self is saying, we recognize, like, we've worked through this, right? So you've maybe already done some shadow work and have somewhat of an understanding of your shadow self, but there's still more grounding that needs to take place, because grounding is a really important part to bring yourself back to the present moment, okay? So that's really what I'm getting. Because you are meant to be a leader, and you have a lot of fire energy, so you could be a fire sign. You don't have to be, but I am feeling that as well, because you could be an earth sign as well. With some of this fire energy, it's a lot of ambition. And so it really seems like with the King of Wands, your shadow self wants to kind of urge you to really take on this leadership role, right? You know, so that may sound silly, but in the sense of your shadow self wants to see you start standing up for what you believe in, and kind of start using this fire energy and this Wands energy a little bit more strongly, right? Like they want you to kind of start being the ambitious person that you are, because it seems like you hold back, and that could be, again, because of the stability. Taking risks is completely scary, right? So that's kind of what I'm feeling. So I really feel like grounding yourself seems to be kind of the messages with these. You have two King's cards here, though. I'm gonna clarify the King of Wands just to kind of understand a little bit more. Why is the King of Wands here? Why is the King of Wands here? Yeah. Okay. So we have Five of Pentacles. Okay. We have the Page, the Ace of Swords, the Hermit, and the Six of Swords. Okay. So, okay. What I'm kind of feeling is your shadow self. I think what you struggle with is, you know, you're meant to be a leader. I think you have this fire energy in you, right? And you want to do something with it. Like, I definitely think you're definitely self-aware in these areas. And so, you know, you're just kind of feeling stuck, especially with like the swords energy, right? Like, it seems like you're feeling a little bit stuck right now with wanting to be a leader, but because of your shadow self, right? So it kind of seems like stability is a big one, and that's what I get with the Hermit, is there's kind of more grounding so that your soul can be a little bit more anchored into Mother Earth, okay? I think that's like a really big important part of your shadow self, is you don't spend enough time being still, meditating, whatever the case is. You need to spend time every single day grounding yourself and being still so that your energy can flow back with Mother Earth, okay? Because with the Five of Pentacles, it seems like, you know, right now you're kind of in this negative thoughts. And that can really happen with, you know, with swords, with thoughts going on in your head. You can really lose kind of the ability to ground yourself immediately. So it's important to make sure you're having that practice where it becomes just part of your daily routine so that you can gain stability that is part of your shadow, right? It's part of kind of what holds you back from things, it seems like, because it's scared to not have that. You're scared not to have stability. Okay, so with the hermit mode, with the hermit, that's what I mean is you need to go into a hermit mode. You need to really ground yourself, because that's really important for you to take on this leadership role, because your shadow self, your higher self is here to take more of an approach, right? And like more of the lead is what I meant to say, which is why I think there's two king cards here. Like your higher self is ready to step in, and your shadow self is like, okay, you know, we've already worked on some of this fear of stability, but there's a little bit more to go, is what I'm hearing. So yeah, that makes sense. Because yeah, I mean, it's with the Ace of Wands, or with the Ace of Swords, excuse me, it's, you have all these brilliant ideas, right? And you have like all these things that you would need to unlock, but there's just more, there's more grounding that needs to take place, because we have Justice at the bottom of the deck. And so it's like Justice being, you know, again, stand up for what you believe in. That's interesting. That's both. Like, I think maybe almost creating the sense of kind of redefining what you feel like stability is, because there's a need for balance, and that's why the Justice card is here, right? There's a need for balance, and grounding is really where it's at for you, okay? But let's continue to pull more cards. So the deck I'm going to use now is called the Dark Mirror, and this is really going to connect you to that shadow part of your unconscious, really getting deep, okay? Just seeing if there's anything else that is part of this message, or in general, if there's other things that are going to come out through these cards, okay? What messages does group 1 shadow self have for them? Okay, so we have a few that popped out, and I'll probably have to look at the guidebook because there could be a lot of meetings with these type of cards. We have I Won't Cry For You, 22. That could mean something to you. I'm not sure. Take that as it resonates, if the 22 means anything to you. What I'm feeling like it could be before I get to the guidebook, we'll see if my, intuition is, if there's more I need to gain from the book. But I'm feeling like maybe your heart chakra is blocked as well with all the green, because kind of seems like maybe you're emotionally blocked a little bit, and that could have something to do with the stability that you've had to kind of build, right? Because of maybe your past childhood or something. Definitely in your past, you didn't have stability, you didn't have foundations, and you're now working hard to build those for yourself because you don't want to feel the lack of, right? And so I think, your shadow self, you have a tendency to kind of be really focused on you now, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's good to focus on you, but I think you now kind of are a little bit jaded, right? Your heart's has a little bit of a protection around it because nobody was able to give you the stability that you needed. So it's kind of hard to want to open up to people. But let's clarify just to be sure and see what else they have to say. Yeah, so I mean, you could have just gone through a breakup. That could be part of it, but it's kind of actually what I was feeling is, I think, just kind of false promises, right? False things that have made it so I won't cry for you type of thing. Like, I won't have any sadness towards this situation. And so it's like, I think maybe what has happened is you've definitely like worked on healing, right? You've worked on understanding that you didn't have the foundations that you needed, and that was hard for you, right? But I feel like you've really worked on that. And so your shadow self is saying, hey, we're really almost there with being able to kind of heal and let things go. But don't allow your heart to not be open, because that is extremely important, that you continue to be compassionate and open regardless of how people have treated you in the past. It's really hard. It's easier said than done, of course, but it can just be really important with being able to truly let go without you having to keep losing a part of yourself, right? So I think, again, the grounding and kind of connecting back to your heart chakra, I think is going to be really important. So that's the first thing we got. The second card we have is alone in the world. Yeah, see, I think you feel just kind of alone, and you're like, well, I can't trust anybody. I can't rely on anybody, because if I do, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to hold that stability for me, right? And so you've really gained a lot of independence of working on yourself and being able to build things for yourself without the need of anybody, which is it's a great quality. But with the shadow self, there's a reminder here to not gain too much independence where you don't care enough about the outside world, because shutting yourself off from experiences because you're afraid you might lose that stability is feeding into that fear energy and not the love energy, the love frequency that you want to be at. So opening up your heart more and being able to trust, and it's not that you have to give up everything so that you can't allow yourself to be stable by yourself, but it's be able to not control everything in your life, right? Some things allow to be unknown and allow to be explored. And I think that has a lot to do with your heart. And so it's like, because stability can mean a lot of things, right? And so it's like, I think your heart has a lot to do with that stability of, I don't want to give it to anyone else. And so you've spent a lot of alone time, but you're gonna feel alone in the world, right? And that's not what the human experience is about. So shadow, your shadow self is saying, don't allow yourself to become a hermit. You need to ground yourself and heal your heart chakra, but still give that love, right? Give that love to someone, because it's gonna come back to you. Allow that frequency into your life. And the last card we have is Gilded Regret. I do want to look at the guidebook for that one, because nothing off the top of my head is coming through, any messages. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So, okay, what I'm getting is, I don't want to read the whole thing because I don't think you need to hear that. But I understand how it connects now. So again, I feel like, I think you've worked through childhood wounds. And I think that was part of like the stability with all this kind of energy that, you've worked through that. You didn't have a stable childhood. There was something in your childhood that was not stable. And so you've kind of worked through that pain, but it seems like your past relationships now have always felt like a disappointment, right? It kind of seems like you've still never had a stable foundation as of yet, or you have, but it didn't continue to stay stable. And so you are like, well, I'm just going to be alone in the world. So I'll just, again, like build this independence for myself, because how can I rely on anybody? But this is saying that you kind of have this fight that you're kind of fighting in your head, which makes sense with all the sword energy that we were getting, is, you know, you're ready to let go with this card. Like your shadow self wants to let go of these things and have them no longer kind of control you, but has kind of made you kind of put up walls, right? It's, I'm healed, but I'm not gonna let anyone in. But this card, it seems like part of you also struggles with letting go, because maybe with your relationships, you've been like, well, is this as good as it gonna get type of thing? Is this just what I'm destined for? So how can I let go of the past then? Of maybe there's, you know, someone in your past who you can't seem to get over because you can't let them go. That's really what I'm feeling. And so your shadow self kind of wants to bring awareness to you that you're in this kind of limbo, right? That you are having this trouble of being able to be like, okay, I need to truly be able to let go because I do deserve better. And I think that's where the heart chakra, like kind of healing and meditations can really come in handy, because start to really feel that love frequency within yourself. And then it allows you to be open to more love from other people without feeling like you need to have these walls up, right? Like her crown is really interesting because there's like all these like branches, right? And so it's like that kind of makes me think of the cage. Like you don't want those walls around your heart. Definitely not, okay? So that's kind of what I'm getting so far. The next one we're gonna do is, let's do Moonology. All right, let's see what Moonology has to say. I'll just group one shadow self. Let them know the messages from group one shadow self. Okay. A new start is coming. The deck energy, which I feel like makes sense because you've done a lot of healing work as it is, and so it would make sense that a new energy is coming, right? And a new start is coming as soon as you're kind of working through these last things that your shadow self is bringing to your attention. So the next thing we have is what do you need to release? Yeah, I think it's thinking about, you know, these cards, thinking about what, you know, I'm really saying, listening to your intuition, you know, what are you still holding on to that you don't need to, right? Because you're scared of, you know, I don't have this stability. And really the way to kind of work with this fear, right? And to work with these unknowns and these uncertainties is to really ask why, right? And ask and understand that part of, okay, does this still feel true? Why do I still want to hold on to this person or this thing or whatever the case is, right? And how can I make myself feel okay and feel stable without the need of this, right? So what do you need to release? I think your shadow self is saying really contemplate on what it is that you're still holding on to, because you're definitely still holding on to something, but you want to let it go, but you just can't. Like it's kind of like this back and forth of you're kind of, again, ego is just stepping in to be like, but we need it because it's going to protect us, or it makes us feel this, or it gives us this, or whatever the case is. A fiery climax approaches. Yeah, that makes sense with all this Wands energy. I would say what I'm actually feeling with that card is I feel like it has something to do with the Seven of Wands. Almost like there's gonna be kind of something that's gonna come up where you're gonna need to stand up for yourself and like what you believe in, okay? And you're gonna need to be grounded in order to do that. And I'm really feeling that because stand up for yourself and your beliefs has come up now with two different cards. And so to me, that's a little interesting that it's like, okay. And so I feel like maybe a situation is going to come forward and it's a fiery climax in the sense that it does take the ability for that passion to come through with you, okay? And so it's about protecting your vision, protecting your beliefs, whatever it is, but there's gonna be something where you need to stand up for your beliefs. I kind of actually want to clarify it. What are the beliefs that group 1 will need to stand up for? What beliefs is going to be really important for their journey? The wheel underneath the deck. We have the sun, a time of great joy and success, brilliant epiphanies that lead to magical opportunities. Plans, okay. Honestly, this is really interesting. But what I'm getting is we have the sun and the King of Cups. It's actually like a battle with yourself, which makes sense because there's not any, hands or anything like that with these wands. They're just kind of wands that are there. But with the sun card and with the king card, it seems like it's kind of a battle within, right? And the idea is to really stand up. And again, what do you need to release? Because I think a new beginning is going to happen for you. And I think you know that. Like, I think you're aware of that. But what is the final things that you need to do is you need to kind of identify what your beliefs are, what your values are, what your grounding techniques are, the pieces that are the foundations that you're gonna need to really progress forward into this sun card. And so I think it's gonna be a battle with yourself where you need to become this King of Wands, and right now you're not. And so remember who you are, right? And stand up kind of against yourself, right? Like, and it's really about maybe standing up against your ego. And this is really how you develop the harmony in relationship with your shadow self, is when you start to have these fear-based moments. Have the awareness, to be able to recognize those moments and say, why are we feeling fear? Why are we worried about letting this go, or whatever the case is, and really question yourself, because bringing awareness will allow you to be able to let it go or fight through it, right? And so again, you're kind of standing up for your own self by understanding before your ego self takes over, right? And you always thank your ego self. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, but we're good. We can move forward. We don't need to be afraid, or whatever the case is. It's about just acknowledging and saying thank you. We don't need you to step in, right? Because that's what the shadow self does. And so they're here to protect you. But I think you're gonna have a battle within yourself, and so your shadow self is gonna try to step in to kind of remind you that it's scary to not have foundations, or that it's going to be scary to try new things that you've never done before, because it's not expected, right? It's not safe. You don't know what's going to happen. But the sun card is here to say, like, no, but you need to, because you're meant to be. I mean, look at those two cards, like, right? Like, definitely grand, royalty, just beautiful in the sense of joy and success is available to you, but you need to stand up for the parts of yourself that will help you through, and not the parts that are no longer serving you, okay? So I think that's kind of the battle that you're really kind of fighting, really current. This is probably a very current energy, in the sense that you have this climax of you're just facing your shadow self, right? Again, we're bringing light to this unconscious part of you, and as you're seeing this part of you, you see the veil, right? And you're like, okay, I understand that this part of me doesn't control me. It's just here to help, but I'm actually the one in control. So there's that. But we have two more Moonology cards. So nothing is yet in stone. Yeah, I think that's just saying that you haven't made these solid plans yet for what you want, and that's okay. Now, because nothing is set in stone yet, it's really important that you ground yourself first, right? And that you kind of be able to let go of some of these old mindsets and then be able to move forward with now envisioning what it is you want once you've been able to say, I don't need all of these foundations to make me feel like I'm okay. There can be some things in my life that are unexpected and that are spontaneous and not planned out, right? Relationships for one. And so that's definitely what I'm hearing with that. And then you and your loved ones are safe. Yeah, so I know your energy is protected, right? And you're doing everything in divine timing, but your shadow self just wants you to be aware. Don't let, this fear of, but what will I do? Allow that to control you, right? You need to move forward and be these amazing pentacles, right? And have all of these things available to you once you are more flowing with the universe, okay? Let's kind of bring in some spirit animals, kind of bring in some of that light energy and just see if we can get some guidance on how you can really work through this. So this is the Spirit Animal Oracle. What advice do the spirit animals have for group 1? Advice for group 1 from the spirits. And then spirit guides, advice for group 1. I mean, look at that underneath the deck. Butterfly spirit transformation is beautiful. Yep, you're about to go through a transformation for sure. Okay, so let's get this one that flew out over here. We got the beaver spirit, lay a solid foundation. I mean, exactly, right? And look how beautiful it fits into this Pentacles group, because that's exactly what it is lay this foundation of grounding yourself and being able to be still. So when you get into these moments where you're like, and it feels like, what do I do now? You can ground yourself and say, okay, again, let's face the ego, let's face the fear, because you're able to ground yourself. And that's how you do it. That's how you be able to actually face it, is because in that moment you can kind of breathe, right? And allow yourself to be calm so you don't irrationally start kind of emotionally reacting and allowing your ego to take over. You're able to really be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? So lay those grounding foundations is definitely important. And then we have the ant spirit, time to collaborate. Okay. So what I'm getting with this is, if you are having trouble with letting some of these things go, that is where seeing a therapist and a counselor comes in to help and handy, right? Because therapists are really there to help you heal your past, to help you work on your trauma. That's what they specialize in. And so that's what I'm getting with the collaborate card. Is this may not resonate to everyone, so take it as it does, but if you are having troubles because this is so intertwined with your childhood, and you can't seem to really let this go, and you just can't seem to figure out on your own, that's okay. You have someone help you figure out the puzzle pieces, right? Help you put the pieces together and help you figure out what it is that you need to become whole. Okay, that's what I'm getting with that. So take it as it resonates. We have the giraffe spirit, see the big picture. And that's what I'm getting with the King of Wands is really, and oh my gosh, and I love these because I think these cards are actually really beautiful together, because it is that, you see this King of Wands, very successful, inspiring, ambitious, as it says here, like definitely steps into his role, right? So communicate your vision right there. See the big picture. So make sure that you know what it is that you want as you're, working through these old mindsets, start visioning and daydreaming about what it is that you want, because that's really advice from your shadow self. Because I think what your shadow self is trying to tell you is if you don't vision that big picture, then the fear is really gonna set in, because you're gonna, again, not have kind of that expectation. You don't wanna, there's nothing wrong with planning, but you don't want to overthink it. That is kind of advice, right? So there's nothing wrong with dreaming and planning, but make sure that make sure that you're able to pivot, right? Don't allow that to kind of be a fear point for you. So the planning can be helpful when you have these fear-based mindsets, because it helps you feel that security, right? And that foundation of being able to say, okay, I have a little bit of an expectation of what I want for my life. I know what I'm working towards. I know what foundations I'm going to be laying and which ones I will be working on in the future. Okay. So that's what I'm getting with that. So let's just kind of get some last energy from your shadow self. Any last messages from your shadow self? Any last messages from group 1, shadow self? Last messages. Bottom of the deck energy, we have health. So that could be important with kind of grounding yourself, right? Making sure that maybe you have some health routines kind of in place as part of your foundations. So that could be an important message for those that resonates with. But let's see what we got. So, I mean, okay, we have physical activity. So actually, I think that's something your shadow self is saying is, you know, don't neglect this foundation, in other words, because moving your body and having connection with your body is an important foundation to kind of keep you going, right? To be able to have your physical body keep up with the ambitions that you're gonna have, okay? And then we have moderation. Yeah, so there could be something in your life that, you know, maybe you overindulge in because of maybe these traumas, or in the sense of kind of maybe it helps you feel grounded, something like that with the green. Or it helps kind of fill your heart, right? Whatever it is, let it resonate. But definitely put that into moderation. We can clarify that for those of you who are not sure what that would mean for you. Why is the moderation card here for group number 1? Why is the moderation card here? So this could be something that distracts you. That's one thing that I'm hearing. We have the 9 of Wands. Okay, so kind of so we have the 9 of Wands and the renewal card. And what I'm kind of feeling is whatever this has to do with, the moderation, yeah, it's something that distracts you in your everyday life. And so that could be something to do with social media, YouTube, tarot readings, whatever it is. Like, it's some type of addiction that is in your everyday life, but it takes a lot of time, right? And maybe it's kind of preventing you from really releasing this energy. And so ask your angels for help is something that I'm hearing with with this, but your intuition should definitely know what it is that you need to have in moderation. So let your intuition guide you on that. And then we have follow your dreams. Yeah, your shadow self wants to more encourage you, right? Like, just follow these dreams because right now you're doubting yourself, right? And your shadow self is doubting yourself, but your shadow self doesn't want to doubt you, because think of like your shadow self in all these parts of of like your personality. Think about it like kind of like inside out, right? Like they all work for you, right? In that sense, like they all have your highest interests. And so of course your shadow self wants you to improve, right? So they want you to follow your dreams. So bringing that awareness of, don't let this hold you back. Don't let the fear of, not letting things go hold you back, because you have this dream to follow, okay? And then the last one we have is communication. So definitely with this, because I did see an angel number. Where was it? Right here, 22. So you have 22 and we have 33 for communication. So, and plus I also said to communicate with your guides about this moderation. Your guides, I think, have things to tell you and things that will help you with maybe working through this. With these angel numbers, you have like guidance and support available to you, so use it, okay? So that's what I'm hearing with the communication card. So overall, this was your reading in regards to, messages from your shadow self. So I really hope this brought you guys some clarity and awareness, and helped bring light to that unconscious part of who you are. But definitely let me know how this resonated and leave a like below, and I will see you guys in the next reading. All right, group 2, welcome to your reading. You chose my favorite crystal. This is called Angel Aura. And it's just so beautiful. It's kind of like a pinkish, and then it just has these gorgeous hues. Go ahead, put that there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and light some angel incense, specifically love incense, just to kind of help with the energy. This is a little bit of a heavier reading because it is, again, pulling those unconscious patterns and thoughts that sometimes can have to do with your past childhood or trauma. So this will help bring in that love frequency to balance out those energies. So just set the intention of allowing your heart chakra beautiful, beautiful. Cool. Go ahead and put that right there. Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle some tarot cards from the Angel Wisdom Tarot to see some messages from your shadow self, okay? Get some insight into what your shadow self wants you to know. What messages does group 2's shadow self have for them? Messages for group 2 from your shadow self. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we have 8 of Cups, so we'll get to that. Okay, so we have the World. We have the Star. Holy shit. We have the Strength card. And we have the Moon. So it kind of just seems like your shadow self is kind of part of your inner harmony. Because all these cards are really talking about how you've basically mastered. It really seems like, maybe you've already had a relationship with your shadow self in the past, and or you've kind of been working on your self-awareness and being able to understand your shadow self a little bit better, because it seems like your higher self is the one driving more these days. And that's kind of why you're getting these cards, because your shadow self is in harmony, in the sense, again, your shadow self will come forward when when a fear comes up, right? Because of that's how the shadow protects you. But it seems like you have the inner wisdom, is definitely what I'm feeling. Like the inner wisdom to be able to say, cool, all right, we're good, thank you. Like you are able to comprehend and understand when your ego is coming forward. So, but what is interesting is with the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck, it does seem like you're seeking kind of more, and your shadow self is just kind of feeling a little bit of boredom, is what I'm hearing. And so you're feeling just kind of unfulfilled and bored. But this also does say a spiritual quest. And with all of these cards, I mean, holy shit. Like, you know, that could be kind of what's on the horizon as well, as far as you have really worked with your shadow self, that you're in harmony and alignment with your shadow self, that what is next is now a higher ascension of your spiritual journey, because that definitely is part of it, right? Is gaining this wholeness and perspective of yourself so that you can ascend even higher. So I think this is about now just accepting to allow yourself to ascend. Realize the work that you've put in, okay? Realize the work that you've done has now kind of paid off. And I'm sure you've seen it manifest in the physical realm, and if you haven't, then that could be because you're about to, right? And your shadow self maybe is kind of foreseeing this. So, but there could be some energy that will pull from this dark mirror oracle, which kind of really digs deep into that part of, you know, your unconscious. These cards really have that energy to them. So there could be things that we're not seeing that are pretty mild, I would feel. But let's take a look. What messages does group 2's shadow self have for them? Messages. Okay. Okay. So we have today for tomorrow. We have sacrifice. Okay. And naked before the stars. Okay, so hold on. I want to kind of focus on these first two first, because I feel like they actually go hand in hand. So what I'm feeling is kind of today for tomorrow. I feel like you have kind of a ride or die, someone in your life that you are really close with, right? Someone who, you know, they're kind of like twins, like someone who really is someone who supports you, someone who is just someone that you invest a lot of time into, but you've sacrificed a lot of your own energy, you've sacrificed your boundaries, you've just self-sacrificed, and so your shadow self just wants to bring this part to the light. And you know, it's something that this is a pretty good awareness where you'll be able to be like, oh, okay, cool. You know, it's nothing that is that deep rooted. That's why nothing came out with the tarot reading, is because these are things that are just starting to kind of stew up, and your shadow self just wants to bring this to your awareness. So sacrificing too much of yourself for this friendship is not the way to go, and you are advised to be able to step back a little bit, okay? So that is what I'm hearing with that. I want to take a look at the book for this card. I'm not sure. Nothing is coming to me right this second for that. Okay, so I feel like, you know, part of your shadow self, you deal with, you know, self-confidence and people seeing you a specific way and having kind of this want or desire for people to find you desirable, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but your shadow self wants to bring it to your awareness that don't feel like you have to be a certain way for other people. It's okay to want to feel sexy and beautiful for yourself. That's okay, but don't let it be you have to be in this image for what society wants, because that's an old part of your ego that no longer has a place, especially with where you're going in your spiritual journey or where you already are. Your ego has no place to worry about this type of vanity, right? And so I think that's definitely what your shadow self wants you to know, is just be aware of not giving a fuck what people think, because you can't control other people's perspective of you no matter what you do. So people are going to think one thing no matter what you do in your life. So the only thing you can do is don't sacrifice yourself in any way, right? And I guess this card actually goes hand in hand with both cards, because again, don't sacrifice your energy and yourself to please other people because you think that they have this expectation of you, right? And you know what? If there is people who have that in your life, then get them the fuck out, because you don't need that shit, right? Don't sacrifice yourself. So your shadow self is saying, don't sacrifice you. But we'll dig into this a little bit more. Let's pull some Moonology cards, kind of connect to that energy. What messages does group 2 shadow self have for them? Messages from group 2's shadow self. Okay. Huh. Interesting. A new romantic cycle begins, and you have kind of almost the same image too, like duality. Interesting. Okay, so that could be the case for some of you. I don't think it resonates with all of you, so take it as it does. But let's do that card first that popped out. So we have a win-win outcome is forecast. So what I felt with this card when it popped out is, again, I see the duality. And I really feel like what I'm hearing is this partnership, this friendship, that your shadow self is really bringing to awareness is this friendship is important. And so I think what your shadow self is saying is, again, don't sacrifice yourself, but have it be where it's an equal scale, right? Where you're giving too much, it sounds like, of yourself, and you need to make it more balanced so that it's a win-win situation. That's what your shadow self is saying with that. Nothing is yet set in stone. Yeah, so I think you kind of have an option with this friendship in your life. It doesn't have to be a soul connection. I don't think it is. I think it's just a connection that's really important to you, and it's made an impact in your life. And so it's not part of your path, but if you want it to be, it can be. And so I think you have the choice, and I think that's where the reflection comes in with your shadow self, is realizing the sacrifice that you put into this relationship. Is it, and then you know what, this doesn't have to be a friendship actually. Now with that bottom of that deck energy, it could be a relationship as well, so take it as it resonates, but just some type of relationship that you're sacrificing too much for. So again, you can make the decision if this relationship is something that you want to pursue or not, because if you decide you're putting too much sacrifice towards it and it's not a win-win situation for you, then you have the ability to walk away, because hold your vision. Yeah, like hold your vision of what you want for your life, right? So I think for most of you, it actually might be a romantic connection. So in that case, like for those who it is a romantic connection and you don't want to leave the connection, that's okay. you don't have to. But for some of you that do want to leave the connection, a new romantic cycle is about to begin because you need this win-win security, right? Like you need this win-win situation, you need this harmony in your life. And so I think that's for some of you. So hold the vision of what you want for your life because luck is on your side. Okay, so you whatever you're wanting for your life, you can manifest it, no problem. Just allow it to be so, and make sure you think about what you want, not what others would want for you, not what you think you should do. What does your heart want, right? Like really channel this inner strength card and allow yourself to be courageous, right? And hold yourself for what you want. And now that I'm seeing this card, I think this is for the people who do decide that, the romantic relationship is not what they're wanting right now. This is kind of again, part of the duality part of the relationship. Like that's just kind of, I'm getting that vibe with that card. And then the last one you have is take time to breathe out. Yeah, so maybe just take some time to really breathe, ground yourself, and really think about what it is that you want with this connection. Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a relationship, doesn't matter, but really think about what it is that you want within the connection so that you can decide if it's something you want to continue pursuing or you want to continue letting go. So I think that's what your shadow self is bringing into the light, is to make a decision on this kind of relationship, right? And be aware of, don't allow your ego to care about vanity and to allow that to be connected maybe to your self-worth. You be the individual that you are, okay? Let's get some guidance from spirit guides, from animal spirit guides, and really kind of see how they can maybe help with this. Their guidance is surrounding this. Okay. What do the spirit animals have? What guidance do the spirit animals have for group 2? Let's see the animal spirits have for group number 2. Ooh. Bottom of the deck energy, we have dragonfly spirit. Truth transcends illusion. Okay, so that could be important when you're thinking about, this relationship and what you're sacrificing. When you figure out the truth of how much you maybe are actually sacrificing, it might set you free, right? Okay, so we have the beaver spirit, lay a solid foundation. So I think it's deciding what it is that you want, right? Holding your vision of what it is that you want within this partnership and what you want maybe in a love life, and really being able to lay that foundation for yourself. So it's definitely some advice from the beaver spirit. The otter spirit is here to say you are never alone. Oh, look how sweet. That's cute. Yeah, you're never alone, so if you feel like, letting go of this partnership feels really heavy because you do feel like, well, then I'll be alone. And I can understand that, but look how much empowerment there is within being alone, right? With the moon card, with the star card, with the world card, like lots of duality does come with being able to be alone. And maybe that's something that you'll learn, is if you do let go of this relationship for some of you, you'll kind of work on this spiritual journey, right? And the spiritual part of yourself, and then your shadow self will be able to kind of sit back while your higher self is really ascending, and then this new partner will come into your life. We have the nightingale spirit. Love is all around you. Yeah, I definitely feel lots of love energy, and that's why I think for most of you this is more of a romantic maybe friendship, right? Romantic partnership. But just recognize that if you do decide to let this go, there's love all around you. And regardless if you decide to keep it as well, that there's divine love all around you. And really, again, dig into that love frequency, okay? That love vibration is the highest frequency ever out there. And it elevates you when you let it in, okay? So, but don't surrender yourself to it. Just allow it in. Allow yourself to receive more, okay? And then we have the dove spirit. Take time to breathe out. The dove spirit, right? Be at peace. Be at peace while you really figure out how much energy you are truly sacrificing to this person. And the dynamic needs to change in general. So regardless if, you do decide that you want to continue with this partnership, there's a duality that still needs to come to fruition, where something needs to change about your relationship because you're sacrificing too much, okay? Something your shadow self really wants you to know. Lastly, we'll pull some numerology cards just to get any last messages or insights from your shadow self. Any last messages from group 2's shadow self? Last messages from group 2's shadow self. Wow. Okay. I'm going to do this card first because we have love partnership. So, I mean, with this card, I just feel like what I was talking about, right, is if the partnership you're in right now, if you decide that you want to continue to stay in it, that's completely fine. But it needs to become this partnership, right? This duality. So that's definitely what I'm getting from your shadow self, that there's this need for this duality in this relationship, okay? We have nature, and I think that has to do with being at peace and really laying these foundations. Go into nature and allow yourself to get the insights from Mother Gaia, right? To really ground you and really be able to bring that awareness is what I'm getting. And I just love these cards together. I just think they're all so beautiful, but I think they tie in together. We have manifestation. Okay, so hold your vision, right? Again, I think your shadow self is saying you can manifest this vision that you want. So don't allow you to lose energy to, vanity, to worrying about what other people think, to, all this sacrifice. Don't allow your energy to go to that. Allow your energy to go into manifestation power so that you can hold the vision of what you want for your life. And then we have spirituality, which makes sense because I think you have a big spiritual journey to go on. So you have a decision to make from your shadow self. You need to make a decision on the person that is holding, that is kind of holding this space. You need to decide if this is really, truly, truly part of your soul path. And if it is worth your energy, because once you make that decision, you have this spiritual journey ahead of you with all of these cards. I mean, it's nuts, right? So, but spend some time in nature, be at peace, take some time to just be and really meditate and think about it. You don't need to make a decision right away. In fact, don't make a decision right away. It needs to take some time. Just take a few days to meditate and think about it and really contemplate. And again, let kind of the illusion fall so that you can see the truth, okay? But overall, that's your reading on messages from your shadow self. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Please leave a like and a comment and let me know how it resonated. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to group number 3 now. All right, group 3, welcome to your reading. You chose the beautiful moonstone. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and light some angel incense. This is love incense. This reading can be a little bit heavier because you are bringing some, shadow traits to the light, so it can be heavy. So I want to bring in this love energy, so I'm just going to kind of let this manifest for a second as you're thinking about just bringing in your heart chakra and bringing in that love energy as well. Cool. Beautiful. Go ahead and set that right there. All right, let's go ahead and start with some tarot cards and see what your shadow self wants to tell you, wants you to know. Okay. What messages does group 3 shadow self have for them? Bottom of the deck energy, we have 10 of Pentacles. Well, damn, that ain't a bad one to have. Okay, so the ones we flew out, we have 5 of Wands and 6 of Wands. Wow. Okay. Okay, so hold on. Let's kind of get the other cards. We have 3 of Swords. Great sadness. Okay. The Emperor. I'm just gonna kind of move some around based on kind of some messages that I'm getting. Okay. So it definitely seems like you're healing from something, you've kind of, this is talking about like a great sadness that will heal with time, and you have kind of an angel helping it heal, right? So I kind of want to get some clarity on kind of the sadness. What is the sadness that group 3 is dealing with? Some clarity on the sadness. Okay, we have the 3 of Cups and 10 of Cups. So to me, it kind of just seems like maybe you just went through a breakup, or it just seems like you're feeling like you want kind of like a happy family, right? In relationships, and you're kind of seeking like this companionship. And so, you're feeling kind of a sadness, a loss. And so it could be that you just went through a breakup, or you've been trying to heal from a breakup, but you're healing through that, and your shadow self is bringing that to awareness that that healing is still occurring, and that's definitely okay. Yeah, so okay, so there's something that you've accomplished, and it seems that you have not celebrated it because you are afraid of what other people think about it, if it deserves to be celebrated. That's what I'm seeing with these cards, because there's a lot of need for kind of celebration with, the 6 of Wands and like the Emperor, right? This is just successful. This is someone who's grounded and really just successful, right? And so that's the thing, is you've accomplished something, but your shadow self is saying, but you haven't recognized it. And it seems to be because there's opposing opinions. You don't know if people will see it as an accomplishment, and so you're not bringing it to the light. And your shadow self wants you to be aware of this because it is an accomplishment, but you're not seeing it that way for some reason. So so let's dig into kind of the energy even more. This is the Dark Mirror Oracle. It does a really good job on really nailing kind of deep down into that shadow self, to that unconscious, the darkest parts of that unconscious. So we can really bring this light, okay? What messages does group 3's shadow self have for them? Messages for group 3. Okay. Bottom of the deck energy, I am getting revenge. And so I'm kind of feeling like, you know, we definitely talked about a loss, and I feel like it's a breakup because of the Cups cards. And so your shadow self is just giving you a warning of don't focus on the want of revenge, because that's just focusing on kind of the id part of yourself, right? The part that wants just pleasure, but that wouldn't really do you any good, right? So we have a few cards here. So we have Parasite. We have Black Flower Fragrance. We have Masquerade, Sacrifice, and Obsession. So these cards I kind of feel like go hand in hand. So I feel like you sacrificed a lot for this relationship that you're healing from. And maybe there's still obsession around it. You still have this obsession with this person. So you're trying to heal it, and you definitely have angels and guides who are here to help you with this, and that's why you have this angel here to help assist with this healing, right? And it's kind of rainy outside, and so you have the ability to gain this help and this insight, okay? But definitely your shadow self wants you to know that there's obsession with this relationship or this person. There's too much sacrifice that you put into this relationship. So realizing maybe the person masqueraded, or you pretended to be someone you weren't to make this person happy. You basically just gave up so much for this person, and your shadow self wants you to be aware, because you know you could be in the healing stage where you're not quite seeing the things that were negative in the relationship, right? And so your shadow self is saying, remember though, the pain that we've been through, okay? The pain that we're trying to heal from, remember that this is what they are, okay? That's what I'm getting with those. I kind of want to read the book on these because I don't have an intuition. Yeah, let me just see if the book has any insight for me. I find it interesting that this card is 19 and that one is 16. Like they're reversed. Okay, I actually think you should hear this message because it's actually part of this. And it will help you maybe understand that this person who has hurt you is not an angel, right? So listen to this, because I think this message was meant for you. So, love is not a white dove, nor it turns people into angels. Love can be ugly, love can be cheap, love can be rotten, but even ugly love has the right to exist. Even cheap love can raise to the sky. Even rotten love has the dignity of eternity. Even a black rose by any other name should still smell as sweet. Even if you are wrong, you still have the right to be angry. Even if you're not perfect, you have the right to be respected. Even if you are stupid, you have the right to be listened to. Even if you are lucky, you have the right to complain. Even if you're rich, you have the right to be sad. If you cannot shine because you're beautiful, then shine even if you're ugly. Shine because you are ugly. Gorgeously black, ugly as love, worn out as an angel, cheap as a crown, unconquered as a fragrance in the night. So what this is just saying is, because there's a lot of different words in there, is I actually like it says, the world is unfair, fuck off, dear world, fuck you. And like, that's kind of it, right? Is I think you were really hurt by this person. I can tell, I can feel it too. And I know what that feels like, and it can be really difficult. And so I understand. And so I can tell this person has really hurt you. But the thing is your shadow self wants you to be aware that not all love is gonna be hard like that. And one of the ways to be able to move on is realize you're obsessing about this person, but think about the sacrifice you had to put on and maybe the mask you had to put on for this person. So you weren't being authentically you, right? And so being able to kind of see that it wasn't the best, but have the compassion still to say, it wasn't the best because it wasn't meant for me, but that doesn't mean they're a bad person, because it can feel like society kind of pressures us that when we break up with someone that they have to become, a demon in our mind, that they have to be someone that we despise. And how could you ever think positively about someone who hurt you so badly? And yeah, it's extremely difficult, but that's the only way that you actually heal and move on, by forgiving, right? And so maybe as you really are digging into understanding this obsession and the sacrifice and the masquerading, that you are still being able to say, okay, that was bullshit, right? But we weren't meant to be together. This could be a karmic relationship, and that's why it feels so toxic, because I feel like there is actually a very intense toxicity here. And I feel like kind of the hardest part of healing is over, and that's why this card is here, because you've already gotten help from angels, and angels are continuing to heal your heart. So I feel like the worst part is over, but your shadow self is just bringing this to your awareness that please remember this, right? And if there's still things that you need to work through on letting this person go, do that, but still have it with compassion, okay? That's what this card is saying. Now let's take a look at the parasite. I'm not sure what that means or what that's trying to say. Okay, I actually think you need to hear this too, because again, it's your shadow self is bringing awareness into how this relationship was unhealthy and why you deserve to heal through it. Kind of going back to this, it's, maybe this person made you feel like you shouldn't celebrate your victories, and that you shouldn't celebrate things that you accomplish, or they made you feel that way. And so, that's the thing, is bringing awareness to that you do deserve to move on from this. Okay, so let me read this though, because I feel like you do need to hear this. Just to kind of understand really what this relationship was, and bringing awareness to why it was not good for you, right? Okay. Relationships are not a zero-sum game. Of course, using each other is part of the game, but it's quite different when use take the shape of supporting rather than manipulating or exploiting. In the long run, a good relationship is a win-win, where the more I give, the more I get, and the other way around. Still, it's not always like this, is it? Not in the short run. Bad is bound to happen, even in the house of true love. We cling, we bite, we hunger for safety and freedom and support. And on the other side, we get mangled, bit, and demanded on. Well, it happens. It happened and it will happen again. It is part of the game. But if it happens too often, it creates a toxic environment. It doesn't matter if we are the victim or the perpetrator. A poison is shared equally. One gets the pain, another gets the advantage. But the toxic part, they both get fully. A parasite, a leech, kills itself as much as it kills the host. It sacrifices the journey to the destination and the destination to its own failures. The problem is not living as sheep, but the true problem is living as a sheep for 100 years. So what I really just think this is saying is the parasite is this relationship. I really actually feel like this relationship that you're healing from is a karmic relationship and really toxic for a reason, right? Because it taught you a lesson somehow, and I'm sure your intuition knows what that is. That's not really relevant right now, but that's what I think the parasite is, right? It's kind of the toxic part of your relationship. And again, as you're healing, just remember that not every relationship is going to be like this, okay? Understand this person's pain, and what they did to you was not an excuse for it, but understand their pain and say, okay, you weren't meant for me. I wish you like the best of luck in healing as I'm healing and moving on. Okay, so that's what I'm hearing. Let's do some Moonology cards. Just kind of see if you can dig into this energy even more. Just get some kind of clarification on some of these different pieces. Because this is definitely heavy. I feel it. And I know it's hard, but your shadow self and having this awareness from your shadow self is truly a gift, because it gives you the awareness to say, I don't want to feel that way anymore. So take that, into consideration. What other messages does group 3 shadow self have for them? What messages does group 3 shadow self have for them? Okay, bottom of the deck energy, we have expect powerful change. Yeah, as soon as you work through this healing, and this is part of the healing, right? Is understanding that the relationship was toxic and that you don't deserve to feel that way, because you deserve to be in a win-win forecast. Or win-win situation is more what I meant to say. A win-win outcome is forecast. I think what they're saying is there's now going to be a duality relationship, that you're going to have in the future after you've worked through the healing. That is going to come your way, and you're going to be like, oh, and you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, this is definitely what like a real partnership is, right? Prosperity lies ahead. Yeah, exactly, like what I just said, right? Like I think a new relationship will come your way after you have finished healing, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're gonna thank your shadow self for bringing this awareness so that you can move past it, because you don't deserve to feel this way, right? We have, it's time to take action. Yeah, I think it's time to take action and now that this awareness is brought to your attention, spend time accepting and understanding it, right? So that you can heal through it. Take the action. It will really help you move forward, and ask your angels for help as you're going through this healing, this kind of last hump, it kind of seems like, of the healing journey. Ask your guides to help you break down these mindsets, right? And then we have faith in your dreams. And this is the card that like fell on the floor, which I think is really beautiful, because have faith in love. Okay, and that's really what I'm feeling is, I know when you've been this badly hurt and you've been kind of this badly wounded, really, and kind of controlled is what I'm feeling, especially if you're not celebrating your wins because you don't feel like you deserve to. This person was toxic and seemed like they were controlling. And so have faith that love still exists, right? And that true love is available and it's coming to you, because look how beautiful it matches that card, right? Like it's definitely coming to you, especially because you chose the moonstone, and the moonstone is the stone of new beginnings. So that's not a surprise that as soon as you have really worked through this, you have a new beginning coming. Let's get some help from an insight from the animal spirits, just to kind of see if they have any guidance of how you can work through this healing, or just any guidance in general around this topic. What messages do the animal spirits have for your number 3? Advice or messages? Okay. We have the elephant spirit, learn from the past, in the bottom of the deck. Which, yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Again, like, understand this and learn from this so that you can move forward. We had the lion spirit, be generous of spirit. So I think allow your angels and guides to come in to help heal you. That's what I'm hearing. Be generous of the spirit that's available to you. The spirits that are around to support and help you, allow them to come in and be that for you, okay? Allow them to help bring in that courage. Panther spirit, reclaim your power. Ooh, I love this card. Yes, this is a powerful card. I don't want to cover these, so I'm going to kind of put that here. This is a powerful card. Look at that, reclaim your power. And I'm going to put it over these because that's like exactly what it is reclaim your power over this situation, right? Don't let this hold the power anymore. And your shadow self wants you to know, reclaim it. Let this go. Now that you have awareness, don't let it control you anymore. Stag spirit, take the lead. Look at this. Hold on. Take the lead. Horse spirit, because freedom is yours, so it's time to take a deep dive. I love when shit like that happens. God, come on, right? Like, that's amazing. And look how beautiful this energy is. Reclaim your power. Take the lead for your life. Freedom is yours. Time to take a deep dive into this so you can fucking let it go, right? You don't need it anymore. You don't need it to support you. Allow spirit to help guide you. Damn, that is beautiful. Seriously, as soon as I was playing that out, I was like, geez, this is just like a whole little message right there. Like, and look at that. You have 2 angel numbers, 3-3 and 4-4. Angel numbers of getting you on the right path, right? Like, shit, that is beautiful. Okay, lastly, we'll pull some numerology cards, especially now that I see that 4-4 and 3-3. I'm curious to see if there's any other kind of insights from numerology that can help us out. Okay. Any last any last insights for group number 4? From their shadow self. Okay. We have like a lot that came out. First of all, I smile because I want to show you this one that came out, abundance. And it's pink, and pink is definitely another color to represent the heart chakra. And 88 is an angel number that talks about almost coming to completion. And so this is abundance of love. This is abundance of the heart, right? And you want to know what else came out with that? We have, oh my God. I mean, all of these. Look at this, relationship change. Okay. So again, have faith that you're going to have a relationship change that is going to be abundant. It's destined to be. You're destined to now move out of this karmatic cycle of this relationship that you've been in. Yeah, it's definitely what your shadow self is wanting to know. Because if you have the self-discipline to be able to work through and really see these pieces for what they are, rebirth, new beginnings, holy shit, right? Like new beginnings, rebirth, like one, like look at all that, like, and then we have creativity. So I think part of your healing could be done through creativity, but it's overall, you have a new beginning, a rebirth happening. Again, I want to just say this one more time. Reclaim your power, take the lead. Freedom is yours. Time for a deep dive, right? Like do that. And I think that's exactly what the universe and your guides are encouraging you to do, because it's going to help you heal so that you can move forward and fucking be ready for this new relationship, right? So overall, that's your message. So yeah, I know this can be hard, but you have a lot of beautiful energy here. So keep your head high, keep going. You have so much support here and from the universe. So sending so much love and light your way. But yeah, that does it for your reading. So leave me a like and a comment. Let me know how this resonated with you. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to group number 4 now. All right, group number 4, welcome to your reading. You chose this beautiful amethyst. So we're going to go ahead and light some incense. So this is some angel incense with the specific energy of love. So this reading can be a little heavy. It is bringing some, you know, again, that unconsciousness to the light. And so seeing some patterns and stuff that you weren't previously aware of can feel heavy. So having this energy has really created a nice balance, and that was kind of the intention. So I am setting that intention of bringing in love energy so that it can create this balance. So please also do the same while I am lighting this, and allow your heart chakra to be open to receive these messages. Cool, beautiful. Go ahead and set that there. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is the Angel Wisdom Tarot. Kind of see what is going on with your energy and your shadow self. See what messages they have for you. What messages does group 2's shadow self have for them? Messages from group 4's shadow self. Ooh, it's a lot of cards. Okay, bottom of the deck energy, we have 7 of Cups in reverse. Make a choice. Okay, so it seems like maybe you've made a choice. So let's take a look. So the Will came out. So a fresh new start. Okay. We have the 10 of Swords, into a situation. Okay. Definitely it seems like you've been working on something. We have the 4 of Pentacles. The Star. The Moon. and the King of Wands. Okay, give me a second to just kind of take in the energy. Okay, so what I'm feeling so far is with the Wheel, the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Swords, it definitely seems like you've worked hard on something and you've kind of made a decision of where you want to go, especially with the Ten of Swords. You're leaving your swords at home, right? Like you've already made a decision on the direction you want to go. So your shadow self is aware that you're going on this new journey, right? So I think there's some bringing awareness to managing your resources wisely. And to me, this feels like energy, managing your energy wisely so that you can continue to ascend into like the star, right? And this moon energy of just inner knowing and really inner wisdom. So, but I want to clarify, I kind of want to clarify why these two cards are here, just to get some more insight, because those messages aren't quite coming in as clear. So I just want to be sure. So why is the Four of Pentacles here? Chariot, balance. Okay, working too hard. Okay, yeah. So just the need for balance of, you know, not working too hard and creating more balance. So just kind of managing your resources, right? Just managing everything in your life. Just think of balance. Think of kind of the push and the pull, the yin and the yang. Think of creating balance. Yeah, and that makes sense because she has like two little pentacles too right there on her wallet, just with them being side by side. Okay, let me clarify why the King is here. Why is the King of Wands here? There's the King of Wands here. So the Five of Wands. Okay, so it kind of sounds like stand up for yourself, because the King of Wands kind of talks about someone who's in like a leadership role, like someone who communicates their vision, someone who's not afraid of criticism. With the Five of Wands, this kind of talks about, you know, kind of walking away from drama, walking away from other people's kind of thoughts and opinions. So, you know, maybe you really worry about what people think about you and you want to kind of take on this new kind of opportunity, it seems like, but you're scared and because of how other people are going to perceive you. And so your shadow self is bringing this to your awareness, so you realize that it's just an ego thing, right? And it doesn't really matter what people's perception is of you, because it will always change and you can never control people's perceptions. The next card we have is Knight of Swords. So it's just saying choose intellectual responses rather than emotion. So like think about your options carefully. So Knight of Swords is really quick energy, right? Like really, really fast energy. So I think, you know, your shadow self is bringing awareness that you may want to emotionally react, you know, in situations when maybe people are not agreeing with you or people are trying to cause conflict. But the Knight of Swords just wants to say, like, you know, be the leader, be the ambitious leader, and be decisive and be focused, right? And be able to not let your emotions come in, be able to be grounded and be able to use your intuition, right? Listen to yourself and be like, okay, you know, what's really going on? Like, how am I feeling about this? How should I react to this? So I think that's what it's saying. And then the last card is the Sun. Yeah, so I think, you know, you want to do something great and you're just worried about what people are going to say or think. And your shadow self wants you to just like be aware of that and okay, great. But who gives a F what people think, right? And it's easier said than done, I know. Now let's do the Dark Mirror Oracle, because this will actually bring even more insight into kind of this part, right? That really deep part of your unconscious, which can be hard to decipher sometimes. And that's why tarot doesn't always pull it clearly. So I feel like this oracle kind of holds that ability to dig in and really, really get to that unconscious. What messages does group 4 shadow self have for them? Okay. Bottom of the deck energy, we have hiding your true self, which makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna do the first one that popped out. We have anger and chains. Ooh, which I love this card, and I can feel that energy. That is intense. Okay, so that comes in like the form of a headache for me. Like a sharp like pain right here, like, because it feels like, again, like that sword, just a lot in your mind, right? So I feel like, again, you care so much about what people think. I feel like you're chained to this part, right? And so your shadow self is really saying, you know, that there's this kind of anger and this pain because you are stopping yourself from being the King of Wands because you care so much about what people think. So your shadow self is like, stop allowing the chain to be a thing because these are just chaos thoughts, right? And there's actually a lion right here. That's the first thing that I noticed when I looked at this card. It's kind of hard to see it. I don't know if you can see it right there, but there's basically a lion in this. There's courage in the sense of all of this chaos, but instead of it being courage, it turns to anger. And so that's the thing, is I think you feel angry and you just feel like, right? Because you are ready to move on and you've already done a lot of work with the Ten of Swords, but your shadow self just wants to bring awareness that you're still caring too much about what people think and unchain yourself from that. Okay. The next thing we have is calling the storm. Calling, not calming. I had to make sure it wasn't calming. Let me see. Alone in the world. The temple of my body. And downcast pride. Okay, so give me a minute because this energy kind of takes a minute to decipher. So I'm going to kind of look at the book on some of these and kind of just allow myself to really feel it. So give me a second. Okay, so, okay, there's kind of some intense energy here, so I'm just gonna kind of take the time to explain what's going on. So there's some kind of, so these are, again, kind of awareness from your shadow self, right? So So it seems like you were abandoned by like someone in your life because you feel alone in the world and you can't like let go of this, right? Like you feel there was something. Okay, so this card is actually really powerful. This is the one I kind of looked at the most, downward pride. So listen to this and take a second to really think about it, okay? Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. So what I'm really feeling with this is you feel that you need to settle with these relationships in your life. Because you don't feel like you're worth enough, and that's what this card is saying, and that's kind of the shadow trait that's being revealed here, right? Is this kind of just, she's kind of like a hag raven type of thing, right? Like just kind of just feeling so like worthless and just kind of not beautiful, right? Like not elegant almost. And the thing is this power was taken from you by this person, and it seems like you bent your will in order to kind of survive in this relationship, right? Or you felt like you had to adapt but that's how love works, right? But again, how powerful is this, that bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. You shouldn't have to bend to somebody else's will or somebody else's personality, someone else's desires. You never bend for anybody, right? Because that's not being true to you. And that's why I think that statement is so powerful. I'm going to say it just one more time because Spirit, your shadow self wants you to really hear this. Maybe even write it down on a sticky note and put it on your mirror, because I think this is something you deal with. Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending, okay? So, I mean, know that you're never alone. And with calling the storm, what your shadow self is trying to say here is there'll always be storms. So be like this shaman and control it. And by controlling it, it really just means how you choose to respond to it. Because the thing is life is always gonna suck. Choose your suck, right? And that really is the truth, because sometimes situations just suck. So be like the shaman and control the storm to be in your best favor, okay? So your shadow self just wanted you to really be aware that, this past situation is really affecting you. And I'd really like to actually get some clarifiers, because this is just it's a very strong energy for sure. Not a negative one by any means necessarily. It's just strong that, your shadow self really wanted this to come to your attention. So I know it can feel heavy. Try to allow that heart chakra to continue to be open and allow that healing light to come forward. There's a lot of angels assisting in this reading today, okay? Why are all these shadow cards here? What is it that group 4 needs to heal from? Is it a relationship? What is it that group 5 needs to heal from? Release, right? Let it go, be able to heal, move on. Bottom of the deck energy. Okay, we have the Page of Swords. So I think this just talks about really think about this, right? And really dig into it. And how that could be done is actually by maybe seeing a therapist. It seems like there's some intense trauma here. And if that doesn't resonate, then it's something that, take it as it resonates. But seeing a therapist could really help with some of this trauma that you could be dealing with, so that you're able to, again, leave these swords in the basket and be able to walk through that door, so you can become the star and you can become this King of Wands, right? Because that's really the end goal here, and that's what your shadow self is trying to bring awareness to, right? So I think that's what that's saying, because we also have the 6 of Cups. So yeah, something about the inner child. So there could have been something in your childhood where someone, again, left and made you feel worthless. And so connecting back to your childhood, will help you heal, okay? And then we have the Ace of Wands. Yeah, and again, it's that childhood, that youth energy with both of these cards. Youth energy, it's definitely something from your childhood. And that's where, a therapist or counselor can really come in handy, because they're skilled and, licensed to be able to help specifically with trauma and the roots associated with trauma, to be able to unveil those patterns, right? It can be difficult to do that on your own. And so I definitely think that's a possibility, because you're dealing with some heavy stuff here, and you don't deserve to be, because the Wheel of Fortune, there's like a new beginning for you, right? So let's keep going though. But that's kind of what I'm feeling with those cards. I know that's kind of heavy. But the moon and star is here. So don't forget, don't fret, because they're here for a reason. That's a divine, those are very divine cards. So it's not like you're doomed to be stuck in this, but it's time to bring now awareness to this in your life so that you can heal from it, right? And you can move forward from it. Let's keep diving. What messages does group 5's shadow self have for them? Shadow self. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we have a win-win outcome forecast. So I think, yeah, again, like, working through this trauma will help you heal so that you can move forward and be this King of Wands and kind of just be the person you want to be, right? So we have, what do you need to release? Yeah, exactly. So releasing this, right? Like, you need to do more reflection into kind of your past, right? And really figuring out what it is that chains you. Adjustments are required. Yeah, I think adjustments as far as how you think you deserve love are definitely required. And so that's where I think it's important to do the reflection and get, you know, and if a therapist doesn't call to you, you can look at some different alternative healing. But definitely getting someone who can help understand these patterns will help you be able to heal faster, okay? A new romantic cycle begins. So this, I think, is going to happen, the Wheel of Fortune, right? This is going to happen when you're able to put these swords, and it's funny that there's like 4 of them. I don't know, for some reason, put 4 more swords into this bucket, right? Like, and be the shaman, right? Type of thing, like be able to handle this conflict with ease. And then a new romantic cycle will begin when you're ready, okay? Show the world the real you. Yeah, especially because the Star card, right? Like, especially those 2 cards. I mean, come on, right? Like, you're meant to have this beautiful, bright future, and changes are upon you, okay? And just remember, actually, this card is saying something important. Changes that bring an end to challenging times. Yes, you're in a challenging time right now, but it's not forever, because the Star card is here and strong, because look at those 2 cards, definitely in harmony, okay? And then your commitment is being tested. And I think just what this is saying is your commitment in the sense of yourself, being committed to yourself. You're being tested, right? Because your shadow self is bringing all this to your awareness. And so the commitment of being able to put yourself first is really being tested here. And the universe is here to assist. Your guides are here to assist. In fact, let's pull out the Spirit Animal Oracle to kind of get some insights from animal spirit guides to really see, you know, maybe some words of encouragement or just things that you can do to help you along this healing journey so that you can really allow yourself to gain that transformation. What messages are coming from the animal spirits for group number 4? Whoops. Messages for group number 4 from the animal spirits. Oh my God. Okay. Bottom of the deck energy, we have dolphin spirit. This and that are true. I mean, hold on. I kind of want to leave this out for you to see because look at this. We have the eagle spirit. Spirit has your back. So remember, I did say that in the set your commitment is being tested, ask for help because your commitment is being tested to yourself, right? And I said ask for help from your guides, exactly, because spirit has your back and it's here to assist you with this pain, right? Because spirit has a plan, and that's why I laughed, because I was like, oh my gosh, because there's a plan for you. And I know this healing is really hard. Again, remember the star, you know, with the healing that needs to take place, it's part of this divine plan for you. Okay. And that's why I said this and that are true. This and that are true, right? Like that's kind of just what came to me when I saw that. Actually, I'll leave it out because I think that's really beautiful. We have armadillo spirit, set healthy boundaries. So with the armadillo spirit, I think it's important that you're setting healthy boundaries for yourself, right? Got some incense on the cards. Oops. It's all right. It's love incense. But setting healthy boundaries for yourself, I think, is going to be really important because it just seems like you've just given a lot in the past, right? And so setting up boundaries where you're not giving so much is going to be really important. So that's definitely what I'm getting. And then the last one is antelope spirit. Things are speeding up. Yeah, I think, you know, once you really heal through this, you have a new beginning available to you, right? I mean, that's just kind of the way of it. It's those tower moments in order to rebuild, right? It's those death moments in order to be reborn. But let's pull some numerology cards just to get any last insights. But overall, you know, we all have healing journeys, and that's what these type of readings are for, is to give you that insight into what you want to heal from and move forward. Any last messages from group 4's shadow self? Okay, quite a lot. Messages from group 4's shadow self. Cool. Okay. Bottom of the deck energy, we have intuition. Yeah, listen to your intuition, right? Just like the star card. Okay, so we have nature. So I think nature is always a way to heal, right? So whenever you're feeling like you need to heal from something or you need assistance, nature is always a place you should go because it will bring in that grounding energy. We have physical activities, so taking care of your body, moving your body could be important to kind of your healing process, right? So however that resonates, that could be going on a walk for you, that could be, you know, lifting weights, yoga, whatever that is for you. Moving your body and connecting to your body, right, I think is an important part of kind of gaining that self-love. And then we have compassion. Having compassion for yourself, that's really what I'm feeling is the most important thing. And personal growth, because what's funny is look at all three of those purple cards, and you did choose the amethyst, and amethyst does connect to the third eye. So I think your intuition is strong, and allow, you know, your higher self to really assist with this healing, because I definitely think you have the ability to do so. You can manifest it even, right? So manifest this healing where you ask for help from your guides, from angels, from really any source to be able to bring more of this healing energy, because you have a really strong intuition, especially right now, because there's just something about those three cards, right? And the purple that I do see, it's the amethyst. So and I think you can manifest this healing. I think that's a big message. So overall, that's your reading. I really hope you guys enjoyed this reading. It looks like there's some really beautiful things coming your way. I love these two cards. I just think they're so beautiful. You know, you have that star card and that card that really just complements it so perfectly. So, but leave me a like and a comment if this resonated, and I send you so much love and light. as you're going through this healing journey, but I definitely thank your guides and your shadow self for giving us these messages today. So, but please leave a like and a comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Here's the little black blob that's been hiding on the blanket. She is truly the sweetest. She was a mama twice, and she's only a year and a half, so the poor thing. But she's happy now and gets to be the fucking queen she is. Huh, baby? You want to say hi to them, huh? Thank you for being part of the reading. Say hello or goodbye. Mwah.